How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So as you can see from the title of the video, and also from the thumbnail, today we're going to talk about, is this game super easy, or is it not a super easy game? Now, what am I talking about here? Well, basically, there's been this discussion in regards to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, just kind of talking about how the games feel dumbed down, too handholdy, and look to be too easy. Now, in one way, people have argued that, people that support Let's Go have been arguing that Pokemon games have always been easy, which I fundamentally disagree with. Previous Pokemon games did have some level of difficulty to them in certain areas, whether, you know, it was hard to go through specific gyms because you needed specific Pokemon that fit your, team better, or that worked better against the gym, etc., etc. There's always been kind of this, level of some sort of difficulty in Pokemon games. Now, of course, it has gotten easier for us, it has gotten easier for you, me, and those of us who have played Pokemon for a long time as we grow and get older to actually get better at Pokemon. And of course, then it feels like the games are easier for us because, well, they are simply just, we know them more. We know what to do. We know when we start the game, okay, I'll choose the thing that's the best against whatever gym. If you're taking on, Gen 1, if you was to choose between, the three starters, the one that's the most effective against the first two gyms would be something like, Bulbasaur would be really strong, but it does get weaker as you kind of progress. But then Charmander is weak against the two first gyms, but will get useful later on, to catch an Nidoran, to get that double kick against Brock, if you don't have, a Pokemon that can counter Brock's, rock types and whatnot. We, generally speaking, we know what we're doing most of the time, but that's also where the problem comes in, right? Just because we know that, we know what we're doing and stuff, doesn't mean that the game should be taken down even further down a notch, is what I'm trying to point out. And I think that's where the problem is. I think if these games had, the level of difficulty that Sun and Moon had, which Sun and Moon were pretty difficult in terms of battles against, the trials and whatnot, those were somewhat hard. The Totem Pokemon were pretty darn hard, man. They had a lot of health, they were really hard to take on, and, they were interesting, right? To some extent. Of course, gyms to me are personally better, or maybe give us an alternative to gyms that's equivalently as fun, but also as difficult as gyms were in the past. So, but what I'm trying to get across here is that there's fundamentally always a little bit of difficulty in Pokemon games, in one way or another. The problem with Let's Go for a lot of people is they look to remove any potential difficulty. They also remove the ability to try to Nuzlocke these games. Of course, we'll probably figure out, somebody will probably make up some new version of Nuzlocking, but fundamentally, that doesn't work in this game. Because think about it, right? The reason Nuzlocks are so hard is because everything around you could potentially ruin your run. You're only allowed to catch the first Pokemon in each route. But guess what? In this game, catching Pokemon is the only way to level. Outside of, battling trainers, which there are, a few of in each route, but just battling those trainers isn't enough. What made Nuzlocke specifically so much fun is because, you level up against trainers and against wild Pokemon. You're also allowed to only catch the first Pokemon in each route, so fundamentally that wouldn't work with this sort of gameplay, so there's probably going to be a new way to play it, or somebody's going to figure out something new, but fundamentally, that's a thing that doesn't work. These self-inflicted, difficulties that we made for ourselves aren't a thing anymore. So that's the thing that I've noticed. Now, I'm going to go a bit more in-depth here, and specifically I want to look here at this trailer, which is an old one, which was about Erica being put into, or, Erica being shown off, rather, for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. And people pointed out something, saying hey, look at the level of that Vileplume. Look at the level of it. Something's wrong here. Something's weird. And I was like, okay, well, hey, let me have a look. So I was looking at it. Okay, it's a level 34. Okay. What's so special about that? It seems to be pacing along well. And then they were like, okay, but check the level of the original Pokemon Yellow game and what level Vileplume was. And I was like, okay, well, let me check it. I go down here and I see Pokemon Yellow on Bulbapedia. And I'm looking here, I'm like, okay, Tangela, level 30. Weepinbell, level 32. Gloom, 32. Okay. That's a little bit odd. But then I realized, and people were trying to make this argument, that just because it's level 34, that Vileplume is in some way harder. Well, it's simply just evolved. We don't even know if she's going to use Tangela or Weepinbell. We don't know if she's going to use any of these two. Or if, she's going to have an evolved Weepinbell, maybe. We don't know. Or if they follow the style of Gold, Silver, Crystal, or maybe even, further games Fire, Red, Leaf, Green, then that's also going to be different. Vileplume's, she's going to have Vileplume, Tangela, and Victreebel instead of, having Weepinbell and freaking Gloom and Tangela. But if they're following the same style, then we know for a fact it's not going to be, Gloom's not going to be there. So this can all change. So people are trying to argue that just because it's level 34 here, that's going to make it somewhat difficult. Now, that's 2 levels, which can make a difference, sure. But keep in mind, you have a full-on experience share that is always turned on in this game, which means you can get XP as easily as hell. By the time you reach her, you'll definitely have Pokemon past level 34 at that point, because you will just level easily. You just catch stuff, and that's how you level. And the catching difficulty isn't that hard based on what we've seen so far. It doesn't look to be anything that's too difficult to handle for anyone, really. Whether it be a child or an adult, whatever. It's not going to be too difficult to handle. And that's where I think a lot of people are pissed off. It's the problem that, like, they feel like this is just kind of going to lead Pokemon down a path that people are tired of. And I think that path is the one where basically everything just turns into this very easy game that just loses any level of difficulty and just kind of loses the fun part of it. Now, of course, I think these games can be somewhat fun. I think they can have a level of fun in them that we probably won't, like, won't expect to have, right? We won't expect it, but we'll have some weird fun from them. Those who do buy the games, which again, I've said, don't buy the games if you don't, or if you're unsure about them. If you don't want them, then don't buy them. Just wait until there are reviews and, like, take several opinions. Don't just go to one person and take one opinion, or, just watch my video and take my opinions on it. Just look at several sources, get an informed opinion, and then decide, okay, I'll buy this game or I won't buy this game based on what I've heard and what I've seen. Just do that instead of just, like, lampooning the game straight away and just saying, no, it's not worth it. Because I'm gonna be honest, this game is very interesting to me in a weird way, right? In one way, I'm hoping this isn't the future of Pokemon, where everything is just gonna be taken down a notch, and it's all gonna be kind of dumbed down to fit, like, the kind of more casual audience and newer people, right? And just kind of, like, dissing the rest of us. But the thing, though, is that's not gonna happen, most likely, because they know their business. They know what sells, and they know that if they dumb it down too much, they're going to ruin a huge part of their community, because they know we still exist. They are aware of us. Hence why, when they announced Let's Go, they also specifically announced that next year we're getting that core RPG main series game that's going to be in 2019. Oh, yeah, I just said that twice, didn't I? It's going to be in 2019, right? They announced that because they knew that people wouldn't be happy with this. Oh, it's Kanto again. Great. We don't want Kanto. Oh, it's childish. Great. We don't want it. We can't battle wild Pokemon. We don't want it. We can only catch Pokemon like in Pokemon Go. We don't like Pokemon Go, maybe. We don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of saw that coming. But like Joe Merrick said, or Serby said, is that this game it seems like to be a game that's supposed to just be its own little thing, right? It's supposed to be a mainline game that just does its own little thing. It's supposed to be this weird, quirky little game that's on the sideline, right? And will it sell? Most likely. Every Pokemon game, no matter which one it is going to sell. Also, this game is touted as a mainline game. Most people know about it. A lot of people who don't kind of keep track of the Pokemon community like you and I do will probably buy the game. It's probably still going to sell loads of copies. Will it outsell the main series games that we usually get? Most likely not, because it is a remake at the end of the day. It is, a game for a console that is kind of new. I mean, the Switch has been out for, give or take, almost 2 years now. Almost. I didn't say it has, but almost. It's been out for a while now, so, fundamentally, when you think about it, right, it really wouldn't be too surprising if this game sells, way less than our expected games, which just proves then to them that, okay, good, now we have a lot of, like, brand new people, and that's what the fundamental part of these games is. They want to bring in new people that haven't played Pokemon, currently. Maybe kids that aren't used to Pokemon, that aren't into Pokemon, that don't know about Pokemon. They want to bring those people in, and that's how they want to kind of, continue forward. Keep in mind, just, like, attacking these games at this moment, it's just kind of, like, stupid. It's kind of like, we've done it enough times where I feel like it's just not worth it anymore. I think we are kind of, like, aware of it at this point. We know that these games aren't meant for us. We know these games are meant for a younger audience, for people that just essentially are brand new to Pokemon, and they're supposed to introduce them this way. Now, is this gonna work? Maybe. Are they going to bring in any Pokemon Go players? Most likely not. I'm gonna be frankly honest. I think most Pokemon Go players fundamentally play Pokemon Go because it's free. That's why they play it. It's easily accessible, it's on their phone, they can play whenever they want, and they don't have to buy a $300 console alongside the game to play it. I think these games won't really attach themselves or really, pander to those people, and they won't really buy into it. They will rather just stick to their thing that they already like. Will other YouTubers that are Pokemon Go YouTubers play these games? Sure. They'll play through them, and then they'll just head back to their usual stuff. They'll just go back to what they always do, playing Pokemon Go. Will maybe some Pokemon Go players buy this? you know, that are hardcore Pokemon Go players and don't play, you know, the mainline games. Maybe, sure, maybe they just want that brand new Pokemon, you know, Meltan. Maybe they'll do it for that reason. But will those people stick by? Well, that's the fundamental flaw here. That's what they want. That's what Game Freak, that's what the Pokemon Company, that's what Nintendo wants to happen. They want these people to stick by so they can get used to the other games they'll be receiving and giving out, which will be coming next year. The kind of mainline core games that we are used to and that we want. The games with brand new Pokemon, with new great regions to explore, better looking graphics, etc. They've said themselves apparently, like, you know, like literally they've said we want the next game, or the next game is going to be improved graphics, it's going to be looking way better, and it's going to be a new generation of a game, right? It's going to be a brand new gen, and that excites us, and I think we should just stay excited for that, and let's go be what it is. Like Serby said, it's a quirky game that's going to be fun to play for a short amount of time, as far as I can tell. I feel like it's going to get boring after like 50 throws of the Pokeball. It's going to get fundamentally boring after a while. And I think that's also one of the biggest flaws in these games, is that they might get too boring too early on. The reason why other Pokemon games kind of like, you know, why you have this curve sort of, yeah, your ups and your downs in the gameplay, was because you had this interspersed like gameplay, which, you know, battling different Pokemon, right? You come to a new route and you find new Pokemon, right? Oh, this is a cool Pokemon, right? Let's say you find hypothetically here, right? Let's say that you find a Growlithe in a route and you've never seen a Growlithe before. And you could be like, okay, this Pokemon looks cool. I mean, it's a dog. I mean, what can it do? So you would battle it to figure out what it does. Oh, it's okay, cool. It's a fire type. Okay, it shoots fire at me. Great. Well, let me use my water type against it to lower it down. And let me catch it. See, that's where I feel like, you know, you could have made this interesting if you kind of used the fundamental idea you had for the legendary battles, which a lot of people have an issue with right now, because they're exactly like the raid battles in Pokemon Go, which I'm totally fine with, because at least they use the general system for gameplay that we're used to, which is the, you know, the strategic gameplay, you know, pick your move, there you go, but then you have to, like, you know, essentially defeat the Pokemon, and then you go into the catching screen like you do in Pokemon Go. So the battles against legendaries in this game work like raids, which I'm okay with, but why wouldn't you use that feature for all the wild Pokemon instead? That would have been way better. It would have fundamentally worked better. So, like I said, I think the issue here is this game isn't meant for you and me who maybe want a more competitive, more interesting, more new game, right? A game with more difficulty. This is not for us. That game is hopefully going to come next year, which they've said. They specifically also announced that for a reason. Does this level on this Vileplume make a difference? I don't really think so. I mean, if we fundamentally look down here, I mean, I really don't think it does. I really don't think it does make any major difference. If you look right here, Celadon Gym, of course, here's level 52, but that was in Hard Gold, Soul Silver, which is, you know, once you've already had like a full-on high-level team. But if you look at Leaf Green, you know, you had level 29, level 24, level 29, right? Now, of course, that's because maybe the games were paced differently. In these games, you'll be able to level way quicker, most likely, because you can literally just catch Pokemon. You don't need to battle them. That process of battling is not there. You just catch a bunch of Pokemon, and that's it. You know, it's going to make your journey way easier. It's just going to make the job way, way easier. So that's just about it, guys. I think fundamentally, these games are not going to be super easy. They will have some level of difficulty to them. Is that difficulty going to be major? No. No, it won't. Will the game still be fun? Maybe. I mean, they're offering something different. And not that different is always better, but hey, I'm gonna give them a shot and see how they are before I totally lampoon them. I've been attacking these games 24/7, and I feel like attacking them 24/7 doesn't really make a major difference. I'm still gonna give them a shot. I'm interested in what Meltan is. I've been talking about that Pokemon like crazy. I want to know what fundamentally that Pokemon is. And yeah, guys, so, are these games super easy? Maybe. That's what I'm gonna say for now. Will they be super easy? Maybe. Based on what we know so far. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Ruffle Rowlet. I'll see you all the next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.